Greetings, Guzzlets. We're going to make some cookies. What's wrong? Oh, I think there's a bit of chocolate on the floor. We'll come into that. I found a recipe the other day, a fairly recent one that come up on Cup Cake Jemma. So you can always check out her site and get it all, but I'm going to try and replicate what she made there. These are Black Forest, she calls them Black Forest New York cookies. Okay, now they're quite largish, they're sort of like chocolatey, they're sort of all the taste of a Black Forest gatto, if you like. So I've got a range of ingredients here. Some of them I've already, measured them out, but I've also some I've slightly chopped. So you're going to want some cold unsalted butter, 190 grams, 135 grams of light brown sugar, 135 grams of caster sugar, 300 grams of chopped chips. Now, my chopped chips, I've done what Gemma recommended. They're half dark chocolate and half milk chocolate, if you like. The milk ones were quite large, so I've slightly chopped them up, roughly chopped. We don't want them too small, okay? So that's the chocolate that's going into it. Then we're going to have cherries. Now, again, like her, I've got a mixture of cherries. So I've got 100 grams of roughly chopped glacé cherries. And then I've got 100 grams of sour cherries. Now, the only sour cherries I could find were dried, and these have been reconstituted. That's why they look a bit soggy, all right? So 100 grams each of those. We want 250 grams of plain flour, 110 grams of self-raising flour, 60 grams of cocoa, and again, following her, I've got half and half dark cocoa powder and half normal. Okay, a teaspoon of salt, a teaspoon and a half of baking powder, 2 eggs, a teaspoon of vanilla extract, and then just to finish off the cookies, as it were, some cocoa nibs. Now you don't have to have them. I managed to find some, so I've got some of them. But they're the final thing we're going to add. Now we're not baking them today because they really need to be frozen overnight. You can do it for a few hours, she says. They're best overnight because then when we do bake them from frozen, they stay nice and sort of moist and chewy and everything inside. Okay, so hence the reason why this is a bit early, although you won't know it's a bit early, but I'm actually doing this on Friday night and we'll cook them on Saturday. Okay, so that's what we're going to make. So first off, we're going to add 2 sugars to a bowl, okay, and we're also going to put in that cold butter, which is chopped slightly. Now, what we're going to do is normally if we were making like a cookies or cake or something, we want to cream these together. We don't want to do that, okay. We want to sort of mix it together, but we want to keep chunks of butter in there, if you like. So I haven't got a big stand mixer. If you've got a big stand mixer, literally you put it in probably about a minute, okay. I'm going to try it with a spoon. If that doesn't work, I'm going to try it with dough hooks, because with my little hand mixer, if I put the normal mixers on it, it will work before I've known it, okay. So I'm just going to get these sugars combined with the butter so we end up with sort of chunky lumps, if you like. So it's still looking very chunky, okay, but we don't want to over mix it at this stage because we keep adding more things. So the next thing that goes in is all that chocolate, okay, and again what we're going to do is we're just going to now mix this again for a short time to sort of like get that all mixed in as well. So there you go, a bit more of a homogeneous mix, still lumps of butter in there, but now we're going to add our cherries, okay. So in goes the glacé cherries, and also we're just going to put these sour cherries in. I'm going to put them out by hand because there's still a bit of liquid. I did strain them, okay, but I don't really want all that extra liquid in there. And now again another short mix to get them all mixed in. So there you go, so starting to get there. Okay, now I'm just going to put that to one side for now, and what we're going to take is our flours. I've already weighed them out in here together. Okay, we're going to put in our salt, there, our baking powder, Okay, and then our 2 cocoa powders. Now, just like the cherries, I didn't actually mention, you don't have to use the dark and normal. Sorry, you don't have to use dark and milk chocolate. You can just have one sort. Cherries, you don't have to have the sour cherries. You can just have the glacé cherries. It's just the sour cherries apparently have a nice little zing to it, if you like. And the cocoa powders, you can just put whatever one you want in there. Okay. Now, I'm just going to give these a mix together. Okay. And then we're going to be chucking it in there. And again, we're just going to mix it all again. And you should find now it's sort of, well, as he described it on their video, it looks like rubble, chocolatey looking rubble. But we'll have a look and see what happens. So, like I say, that's now going to go into there. And now we're just going to mix these together. Okay, so that's not looking as dusty as his did. What I did have to do is get me, because on the stand mixer it'll get it all, but because I'm using that little thing, I did go around inside and across the bottom, make sure I got it all in there. Now I can still see lumps of butter and that in there, that's fine. So what we're now going to do is we're now going to put 2 large eggs in a bowl, and we're going to add our vanilla essence to that, and then we're just going to give it a little bit of a mix together. Okay, so in goes my teaspoon of vanilla essence. And then, like I say, we're just going to lightly mix these up, and then that will be the final thing that goes in to our cookie mix. And then, like I say, we're forming it into balls. Okay, we're not forming it into cookie shapes, forming it into balls, and then they're going to be topped with some cocoa nibs. Okay, which again are optional. Adds a little bit of a crunch and a nice little sort of bittery sort of taste. So in that goes. And now what we're going to do now is we're now going to mix that together until it's sort of like a dough. We don't mind if it looks chunky. It's not meant to look all homogeneous, all nice and smooth. All right. So I'm just going to get that mixing. So that's our mixture. I think basically because of the mixer I've got, if it was the big sort of spade thing you'd have in a stand mixer, it would look a bit more chunky. Doesn't really matter. Okay, there's obviously the chunks of the cherries and the chocolate and that in there. Now what we're going to do, we're going to make 100-gram balls. Okay, they don't have to be that accurate, as in making them into a ball. Okay, you can make them bigger if you want. Okay, she uses 125. So what we do is we just shape it into a ball, and then we just dip it into them cocoa nibs, and we're just going to place that in the container that's going to go in the fridge. Okay, so it's just sort of grab about 100 grams worth. Okay, rough ball into the cocoa nibs. Okay, and then we'll be putting these into the freezer. Okay, so that is it. Okay, I'll put them in the freezer, and then next time I'll catch up with you, it'll actually be tomorrow when we bake them. Right, well, welcome back, even though really it doesn't look like I've even been away, but it's now the next morning. My cookies are frozen, my oven's preheated to 190, and because obviously we want to cook these, apologies for background noise, the boss is doing the washing again right when I'm doing this. Put a baking tray in there, the idea being we want to try and get the bottoms nice and crispy. So the reason we froze them is we want to keep the inside sort of, we don't want that cooked through, we want that still all nice and moist. So the tray's been in there, okay, and I've lined it, Okay, I've lined it with some baking, and I'm just going to, now because these will spread a little bit, okay, I'm going to make sure I've spaced them sufficiently, okay, so that they will better spread. And now they're going to go in for 14 minutes. Now I said to you that we were doing 100-gram cookies. If you were going to do 125, give them 16 minutes. So what we'll do is we'll look at them in 14 minutes. If they still feel a little bit soft on the outside, remember when I'm sort of a little bit crispy on the outside, then just put them in for another minute. Okay, so I'll see you when we take them out. Okay, so the first batch are out and they're cooling down on the rack. Here's one. So I've already broken it up to try and cool it down a little bit because obviously this is still quite warm. Okay, it's all very soft in the middle, hard on the bottom, or hardy. Very moist, very, very chocolatey. I don't think I had a cherry yet, but I've got a taste of that sour cherry coming through. Definitely getting cherry in that one. The cocoa nibs on top give it a little bit extra crunch. And so we've got what we wanted. We want this almost dough-like, you know, cookie dough type centre with a harder outer. Very nice. So, courtesy of Cup Cake Jemma, Black Forest, or Black Forest New York cookies as she calls them. Ooh, very nice. Gonna have to make some more of these.